This is ABC15 Mornings.
So the big story on this Wednesday is our weather. After experiencing a brutally hot, record-breaking summer, storms rolled in, cooler air is over the valley right now. Hey, some parts of the high country waking up to temperatures in the 30s. Yeah. Before you get outside, though, we want to make sure you're keeping the mask on. There are more than 36 fires burning across the state of California. Particulate matter from the smoke moving into Arizona, and that can really take a toll on our breathing.
Even people who have no underlying health issues can be impacted right now. So what I'm seeing with my patients is they're having an increased amount of headaches, more eye irritation, more dry skin, and people who don't have health issues or lung issues, they're also coughing and they're also finding some irritation in that respiratory tract as well.
So that might explain why you're feeling the way you do. And even though we are seeing a cool down today, you'll be tempted to get outside, but some doctors are suggesting you limit your time outdoors. We'll talk more about that momentarily. First, we say good morning to you. It is gorgeous out there. KALEY O'Kelly here in studio for ABC 15 Mornings. Our Nick Saletti is social distancing from home.
Hey KALEY, good morning to you. Good morning everyone. Happy Wednesday. And yeah, what a treat. You might even have your windows open already this morning, but as soon as you head out, you are going to feel it. It is feeling like fall out there. Megan Thompson is in for meteorologist Iris Hermosillo today. And Megan, I mean, you're like the good news machine today.
We are seeing an absolutely beautiful morning outside, but what we talked about just a few moments ago is that air quality. This is the wildfire smoke forecast, so it just makes sense that it may be difficult for you if you have any breathing sensitivities when you step outside this morning. As for what you can expect, that haze we saw yesterday will hopefully be clearing out over the next few hours. In the morning, though, smoke and dust are your concerns. In the evening, the ozone. As for your temperatures, we're in the 70s through 8 a.m. We're going to warm into the 80s and we'll stay there until about 2 p.m. 91 degrees is your forecasted high today. So how long will those 90s stick around? We'll get into your full forecast coming up.
All right, thanks so much, Megan. Chelsea Davis here. Welcome to my house. I'm watching the roadways for you. Overall, desert drive times look great for this time of day, especially as we head into the 6 a.m. hour. We know rush hour can get a little thick. Right now, though, 25 minutes is the longest desert drive time we have, and that's for I-17 if you're traveling southbound from Loop 101 to the Stack. A wide view of the map showing green conditions overall, especially on the north side of town. Just a reminder, if you do travel southbound on I-17, the exit ramp at Happy Valley will be closed through the beginning of October. West side of town, not many breaks on I-10 making your way into downtown Phoenix. That desert drive time looks good. Eastbound between the 303 to the mini stack, 26 minutes to go 23 miles. And then overall, the East Valley is showing green conditions right now, but I'll keep watching it. And of course, I'll let you know when that changes.
Okay, Chelsea, thank you. It's almost 3 minutes past the hour, and for weeks, we've covered school districts slowly getting back into the classroom. This morning, we are asking what happens next. Only here on ABC 15, we hear from Superintendent of Public Instruction, Kathy Hoffman. She says the Department of Education will start crafting long-term guidance for schools by the end of this month. And she tells us those health benchmarks we've heard so much about from the state have served their purpose, and she's pleased by the number of districts following them. Still, Hoffman says safety protocols and communication will be the key to long-term success.
Do you think schools should be more transparent than they're required to be when it comes to sharing this COVID data with their communities?
I would advocate for enhanced transparency from our school communities. The more transparent schools can be, the more confidence their families and teachers and staff will be in knowing that they're able to make well-informed decisions. As
for the calls from teachers' unions for a statewide plan for schools, Hoffman says she doesn't believe that is a direction Governor Doug Ducey will go in. Today will be the first day of in-learning at Cactus Shadows High School. They're in the Cave Creek Unified School District. Students should begin arriving in about an hour or so. In-person learning was scheduled to get going yesterday, but too many teachers called out.
And happening tonight, families in the Scottsdale Unified School District are hoping to get a better idea of what's next for their students. The governing board will discuss the results of those parent surveys as well as their plan to return to in-person learning. That meeting starts at 5 o'clock.
Meantime, the state's largest school district start in-person learning next week. Mesa Public Schools will have a modified in-person learning schedule. Chandler Unified will go with a staggered approach. ABC 15 Mornings will have complete coverage for you starting Monday morning.
Well, as more and more kids are heading back to the classroom, health officials, along with the American Lung Association, are trying to give parents the tools they need to tackle another major health concern. So all new this morning, John Genovese is sharing the risk when it comes to vaping and COVID-19 and why experts say now is the time to step in.
It's really an interesting time and a time when everyone's thinking about lung health.
The coronavirus capturing most of that thought as worry swells over its effects on the body and what the long-term impact will be. But pediatric pulmonologist Dr. Christy Cedramelli's focus includes something else, an alarming trend on the rise long before the pandemic.
We've seen an exponential increase in rates of youth vaping over the past 2 years, 135% increase nationwide. And it's much more common than people realize.
No way.
No way.
No way. No way. My kid would never vape.
Get your head out of the cloud.
The American Lung Association now launching a new campaign targeting parents in an effort to curb the teen vaping epidemic.
In reality, it's more than 1 in 4 high school students use e-cigarettes and about 1 in 10 middle school students. 8,000 new youth every day in the U.S.
And the messaging could be more important now than ever, as many kids are either left alone at home to take part in virtual learning or just starting to head back to the classroom. Results of a recent Stanford study involving teens and young adults found those who ever used e-cigarettes were 5 times more likely to test positive for COVID-19. E-cigarette and cigarette users were 7 times more likely.
You've got adolescents who typically are sharing their vaping products. You've also got the hand-to-mouth action that's going on that we worry about. And there's some question of whether maybe there is coronavirus, that the virus itself is being carried in that big plume of aerosol.
Lung damage, changes to the brain and cognitive ability, and a strong, potentially lifelong nicotine addiction. If nothing else, Dr. Cedramelli says that's more than enough of a reason for parents to act.
We really want to empower parents to talk to their young ones.
Yeah, and the American Lung Association also launching a website, talkaboutvaping.org, to provide conversation starters for parents. Now, here in Arizona, a study found over half of high schoolers admit to at least trying an e-cigarette. And guys, the American Heart Association also warning that given the pandemic and kids being away from sports or other hobbies, more teens may be turning to vaping as a stress reliever.
Yeah, John Genovese reporting there. That's another good point that other doctors have raised as well. John, thank you. ABC 15 is your home for getting our kids back to school safely. So for complete coverage on education across our state, just go to abc15.com/schools.
Well, Arizona bar owners lose a legal fight in their push to reopen. A Maricopa County judge upholding the governor's executive order that says bars that don't serve food must remain closed. That ruling says these businesses fail to show 2 specific things. First, that the order violates Arizona's Constitution and that it causes irreparable harm to their businesses. The attorney who represented 130 bar owners calls this ruling disappointing, and the attorney is considering taking the case to the State Court of Appeals.
Your voice, your vote. We are 55 days away from this election, and it's deadline day for the remaining counties in our state to print out their ballots. The deadline to register to vote is October 5th, and on the 7th, the first ballots will hit the mail. Meantime, Kanye West will not appear on those ballots as a presidential candidate. The Arizona Supreme Court rejecting his appeal yesterday. The court found that, among other things, West's electors failed to file a key election document. Meantime, the Secretary of State's office is expecting and preparing for record turnout this election, both at the polls and with mail-in ballots. Secretary of State Katie Hobbs is cautioning Arizona it'll be very unlikely we will know on election night who won our state, Trump or Biden, and also in the Senate race if it's McSally or Kelly.
We are focused on getting the results right, and we're focused on making sure that every voter who casts a ballot knows that their ballot's going to be counted. And that doesn't always happen immediately.
Well, this year, recorders will begin counting mail-in ballots 14 days before the election. In the past, they could only start 7 days in advance.
It's almost 10 minutes past the hour. Up next here on ABC 15 Mornings, major developments in the fight against COVID-19, the outcome of vaccine trials being watched around the world. Why one of those trials, though, has been put on hold. Plus, money is tight for so many of us right now. New for you this morning, though, how about a different way to save on your car insurance? It's almost 13 minutes past the hour. More than 500,000 kids here in the U.S. have now tested positive for COVID-19, and this morning, a possible setback in the race for a vaccine. One of the most promising studies is now on hold. ABC's Faith Abube is in Washington with the latest.
There's a lot of pressure on these companies in the race for a vaccine, but a temporary hold in a large medical study is not unusual. Late-stage human trials for a promising COVID-19 vaccine at the University of Oxford and now temporarily on hold. AstraZeneca, the drug company behind it, saying it's a routine action for safety reasons after one of their volunteers suffered a potentially unexplained illness. CEOs of 9 major drug companies in the race for a vaccine promised to not rush production, but to rather let science win. Meanwhile, on the campaign trail, the president's still dangling a vaccine ahead of Election Day.
So now they know we have it. It's only a question of weeks.
And accusing Democrats of playing politics by adhering to strict COVID-19 guidelines.
On November 4th, every one of those states will be open. They're doing it for political reasons.
The Biden campaign releasing this new ad attacking Trump's handling of the pandemic and laying out 3 steps they say will ensure a safe and effective COVID-19 vaccine.
We need to get control over the virus. Donald Trump failed. Joe Biden will get it done.
Faith Abube, ABC News, Washington.
Faith, thank you. Well, you might be driving less during this pandemic, so a different type of insurance could actually save you some money. Pay per mile is for those who drive less than 12,000 miles a year. One company claims it can save you about $540 a year. You pay a flat rate, then 6 cents a mile, but there is a cap on the amount of miles you can be charged for.
Typically, there are few complaints about pay per mile because it's relatively straightforward and it's very simple. And obviously, consumers like that.
Well, this is different from usage-based insurance. Pay per mile is typically tracked through an app or device. Nationwide and Allstate are among the companies that are offering these kinds of plans.
ABC 15 Desert Drive Time, sponsored by Accident Law Group.
All right, thanks so much, Nick. Hey, Chelsea Davis here, watching the roadways for you. And I've been looking at the maps, not only freeway level, but also surface street level. We just have a lot of green out there today, which is great. No complaints, especially on the east side of town. We have lots of green flows for I-17, Loop 101, the 303 Carefree Highway. East side of town looking good as well. For all of the freeways, just pointing out a great desert drive time on US 60, westbound between Loop 202 to I-10, 15 minutes to go 17 miles. I mean, you are cruising over there. Loop 202 southbound in either direction looks great too. From the west side of town, some breaks here and there on Grand Avenue, which you're probably used to for this time of day. But I-10 looks really good into downtown Phoenix. There is some yellow popping up on I-17, so if you travel southbound from the stack around the Durango curve over to the split, just that 7-mile stretch will take you 13 minutes, so really not too shabby. Factor in just a couple extra minutes so you don't get too far behind. With our ADOT camera, though, this is what it looks like. It's not a huge slowdown at this point. Again, 5 extra minutes, 6 extra minutes, and you should be good to go. But let's go ahead and check in with Megan Thompson now. You've been the bearer of great news today.
Yeah, I sure have, Chelsea. I'll take it after a really brutal summer when no one really liked me very much, right? Or Iris Aramocio. I'm in for her this morning, tracking that most accurate forecast. And right now, an absolutely beautiful start to the day. 71 degrees right now, humidity about 23%, the dew point 31. Your winds at about 7 miles per hour. We saw those winds whipping around yesterday, gusts up to 30 miles per hour. We did see a stray shower or two in the valley, including in Chandler in the rain. really made that, and the wind really ramped up those storms. We've changed this graphic to say hot coffee on the patio based on the temperatures we're seeing outside. We're staying in the 70s for the next few hours, even into 9 a.m. at 77 degrees. And many of you, after you have that coffee, may be thinking, I got to go take the dog for a walk. Well, you have more time to do so this morning. Maybe you can take them out during a break, during your work from home, because we are good to go from 5 a.m. to 8 a.m., 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. I'm going to say a little bit of caution between 11 and 7 p.m. because we are still going to warm to about 91 degrees today. And this is how we're going to do it. We'll stay in the 80s through most of the day, even into the afternoon at 2 p.m., 89 degrees, 91 will hit around 4 p.m. Now, the reason we're seeing these cooler temperatures that are below average for this time of year is because of a cold front that's been making our way slowly but surely from Canada. We saw Denver get some of that rain and snow as well. And we're also seeing some rain right now on Futurecast into the afternoon in the Tucson area. But we have cleared out for our storms here in the valley. Here's what to expect today when it comes to your air quality. The haze is going to start clearing out that we saw yesterday. In the morning, though, smoke and dust will still be a concern in the evening ozone. For your forecasted highs today, the state seeing quite a difference. 69 degrees is the forecasted high in Winslow, 57 degrees in Flagstaff, 88 for you in Quartzsite, 91 in Gila Bend, and 90 degrees in Casa Grande. Into those overnight hours, there were some spots to the north in Flagstaff and the higher elevations that saw freezing temperatures. So they're going to be at 32 degrees into those overnight hours. We're going to be at 69 degrees in the Phoenix Metro, 66 in Quartzsite, and 52 tomorrow morning in Show Low. Here's that 7-day forecast. So how long are those 90s sticking around? The next day or so. Breezy conditions continue today. 91 again, the forecast high. A beautiful morning again tomorrow. 95 degrees for you then. Friday, though, we do go back into the triple digits, not too far. Don't get scared just yet. 106 is the highest we see in this 7-day forecast on Sunday, with those lows staying in the upper 70s and jumping into the 80s from Sunday into Monday.
All right, Megan, thank you. The Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences announcing new requirements for films to be eligible for the Oscars Best Picture category. The changes aimed at addressing racial disparities within the awards. Movies will have to meet 2 of the 4 criteria from the representation and inclusion standards. The changes don't take effect until 2024.
If you are keeping up with the Kardashians, you're going to have to stick to social media to do that next year. The family announcing the upcoming 20th season is going to be their last, Nick.
The Kardashian-Jenners have been filming the reality series since 2007. The new season premieres next week, and the final season will air in 2021. I mean, we have been on quite a ride with this family through so many changes. And yeah, I mean, it sort of feels like the end of an era there. Well, fake unemployment claims and fraud, it is a major problem right now with the state's Department of Economic Security. Only on ABC15 Mornings, Joe Ducey looks at how scammers are hurting businesses.
And hey, did you know you can get ABC 15 News 24/7 on our ABC 15 app? You can stream live news and get important updates on the day's stories on Roku and these streaming devices. We are back in a moment. 6:23, and we know thousands of you still aren't getting your unemployment benefits. Others are, but never applied. New for you this morning, our Rebound Arizona team looks at businesses caught in the middle as scammers use them to file claims. Our Joe Ducey is sharing why it could mean higher insurance costs for you.
I get at least 2 a week.
By day, Violet Mackey works with a local healthcare business. You could say by night, she's forced to play detective.
I just got another one this morning.
7 months after the pandemic began, after claims for unemployment insurance first skyrocketed, Violet's business is still getting a lot of unexplainable claims.
30% are people that have never worked for us and that I've never heard of. It looks the same. It has a social security number and a name and our employer account number, and it says laid off.
It's no secret the state's Department of Economic Security has a huge fraud problem it cannot solve. 7 months later, it's still putting businesses like Violet's at risk. Scammers using them to form fake accounts, and Violet worried it's going to increase insurance costs.
Few seem to have a long track record of employees, former employees that need to go on unemployment that drives your insurance rate up.
While Violet examines every claim that comes through, she says many employers may not right now, which she worries will allow more fraud and hurt the business.
If an employer doesn't do anything with that information in a timely manner, the claim's going to go through and it's going to count against you.
Employers are advised if they get a fake claim to contact DES. Violet says her business did that, gave them a list of names, and didn't hear back. If you're a business still getting fake unemployment claims, we want to know. Rebound at ABC15.com. For the Rebound Arizona, I'm Joe Ducey. If you got a problem, let me know.
Joe Ducey, thank you. A new brewery is coming to Phoenix in part of the building that used to house Easley's costume shop for decades. It was legendary. Roses by the Stairs Brewing is an eco-friendly, dog-friendly, cause-conscious brewery.
Our place itself will be zero waste. And then I am building the furniture, a lot of the furniture myself. We're going to use reclaimed wood, and just make it a place that's comfortable, but we're scrappy at the same time. So you're going to see some dings on the furniture, it might be a little crooked. We're building from a family budget here.
Yeah, sounds a lot like my place. Well, the business named after lyrics from a Blink-182 song, Roses by the Stairs Brewing, is located near McDowell and 5th Avenue. It's scheduled to open early next year.
It's a great spot for sure. Up next here at 6:30, thousands of Arizonans just trying to get back to work. We're going to take a closer look at how long it could take for our state to recover from the pandemic. Plus, absolutely shocking is an understatement. What some teenagers are seeing on social media will stun you, and why this is something every mom and dad needs to be aware of this morning.